Hi guys, this is a video about finding out why we came here to this planet, what our purpose is, and how to find our way in life, how to get clear on things, and how to feel a little bit less lost during these times. I also wanted to start with saying that I am Sabrina Goldlin. I'm the owner and creator of theangelhouse.ca. I'm also a published author in this book called I Know Why, Moving the World by Jerry Wiska. He is here to inspire 1 million whys. So I had my why time with Jerry some time ago, and I posted a video at some point about this experience. It was pretty incredible. I realized that our deeper why is what propels us forward in actually taking action on our passions, our dreams, and our goals. And so this book just came out now. You can find it if you're interested in it. You can find it online on my Etsy shop. You can purchase it there. I recommend to buy 2 books, one for yourself and one for a friend that you feel needs help moving forward. It's quite noisy here on the road, so I don't know, I'm not sure if you're gonna hear this. So I wanted to talk about how do we find out why we came here, how do we figure out our life purpose, how can we move forward, how do we know to take the right steps in life. And how do we know that we're doing the right thing, right? And I know it can sometimes be a little confusing, and I know because I was there myself. I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't really know where I was headed with my visions and insights that I had about the future and about the things that I wanted to create. I always get a lot of insights about the things that I'll be doing down the road in the future, but many times I had to realize that I needed to step back and just observe the things I'm seeing, because oftentimes what I was seeing wasn't really supposed to be acted upon right now in this moment. With that said, every time I saw something that was inspiring me and pushing me forward to do something or create something, I would just take at least one little step or 2 little steps into that direction. And this also signals the universe that you are serious about the things that you want to do, that your intention is there to create the very thing that you have been perceiving. With perceiving, I'm talking about like having an inspiration, an idea, a vision, or something that is just coming to you for whatever reason that excites you and that makes you feel passionate. And so how do we find out why we came here? Well, this is a question I always asked myself when I was a child already. Like, why am I here? What is my purpose? Why did I come here? And I would sometimes receive things that would say exactly really why I'm here, but I would never quite truly believe it or trust it, because at the time when I was receiving the answers, I wasn't there yet, and so I didn't see that it could actually go there or lead to the very thing that I was receiving. And so, I'm just telling you this, that you have to understand, you may have already received your answers a long time ago. You may already know, your subconscious may already know about this. It's just that you may have not paid attention to it. You may have not realized it. You may have been too busy with other things to really pay attention to your insights and to your own messages that you're receiving from your own greater self or higher self. So, and in the future, in your future, when you start to take action in the now, in your future, you will know, right? And so while you are in this now moment, you're able to access the future parts of yourself that already know this, because you have already created certain things. This is why you're able to receive the messages about your future. it is a communication between you and your own older, higher, greater self. Or sometimes it is also communication between you and your angels, or between you and God, or whatever you want to call it. And it is really just a matter of fact that most of humanity it almost feels like we're under a spell. It's not really a spell, it's more like we don't remember things. We constantly forget things. We don't remember why we're here. We can't access that because most of us are functioning from a very low level of consciousness and awareness. So we are not able to access the full information that would be available if we are at a greater level, a higher level of awareness, where everything would be available to you to tap into. So on the other hand, the one reason why we sometimes don't know ahead of time what we're here for is because the whole point of you understanding your purpose or purposes in your life, which, by the way, we have many purposes. It's not just one thing. There's usually many things that are a part of our purpose here. But yeah, the reason why we sometimes don't know ahead of time is that the whole purpose for it is to unfold itself. So you get to explore life and explore yourself and explore your purposes, right? Because if somebody just told you what it is, but that wasn't really supposed to unfold or turn out to be for another, let's say, maybe 10 years. Maybe somebody, let's say a psychic would have told you that, you're going to create this book, it's called this and it's about that and whatever it is. Right? And you start working on this now because you believe that and you feel this is resonating with you. But what if I told you that you would have created this book anyways? It wasn't always meant to be happening right now in this moment, and you have to tune in with yourself and ask yourself, does this make sense now? Is this reasonable now? Is this something I am inspired to create right now in this moment? So instead, I would say, like, if it doesn't feel like it really is, or it feels overwhelming, it feels like this is just, I don't know where I'm going to get this from, but I'm going to just try. Well, why don't you just, take one little step towards it? Maybe start writing things down, or get some painting supplies. If you're like an artist, like you're a painter, whatever it is, maybe just take that one little step into that direction if you feel that this is aligned with your purpose and why you're here. On the other hand, I have made the grave mistake, there's no mistakes, everything is here for a reason, and even my mistakes were actually perfect because they helped me learn from them and understand myself as well. But I always call this a mistake because it caused so many karmic repercussions down the road that I can't help myself but call it a mistake. And so it is. It has to be a mistake. Anyways, when I was just a child, I was about 11 years old. I was on a school trip and I wanted to know more about my future. And my father used to take me to psychics when I was very young after I started talking about speaking to angels. He wanted to know, he was curious for his own reasons. And he took me to a place. Anyway, on that school trip, we walked by that psychic shop where he took me when I was much younger. And I subconsciously, I wasn't really sure why I recognized it, but I felt like I know this place. I've been here before, and I felt like I needed to go into this place and talk to the woman that's inside. And so I listened to myself, even though a part of me, my spirit guide, actually, her name is Pamela, she said, don't go in there. No, don't go in there, she told me quite loud and clearly at that time, like, don't go in there. I'm never going to speak with you ever again if you go in there. But I had to go there anyway because I was so curious, because I felt this pull to go in there and check it out and see what's going on here. Anyways, that was a grave mistake because this woman was doing hypnosis with me, and I don't think she knew what she was doing. She was fairly young. I think it was her mother that had this shop, but her mother delegated me to her. And anyways, I ended up 2 or 3 hours later, I was sitting outside the building, couple meters down the road, completely confused, sick to my stomach, babbling weird stuff. A friend of mine found me, and she asked me, what's going on, what happened? I couldn't tell her anything. I was so confused. This woman really screwed up. She made a big mistake, and yeah, it was the worst experience I've ever had in my life with a psychic. And the reason why I largely stayed away from psychics after that for a very, very long time, and even forgot about the whole incidents, believe it or not, totally forgot that this ever even happened, until it was, I don't know, I never really remembered until maybe 5 years ago, literally. And the reason why I went there also was because I was so curious about my life purpose, and I really wanted to know where this is headed. And I was receiving insights already as a child that there's certain things that I'll be doing down the road, that there are going to be very important things that I'll be doing and all that. So I just want to let you know that curiosity can kill the cat, okay? And that you do need to listen to your guides and to your inner true self. And if there's something not right here, then, you know, listen to yourself. On the other hand, you know, if that never happened to me, I never be able to tell the story about this. I would have never had the experience that somebody can actually cause damage with hypnosis. A big truck's driving by. But yeah, I would have never had the experience that I could tell people, you know, that there is such a thing as hypnotic abuse and such a thing as somebody causing a lot of trouble when they don't know what they're doing with this. And yeah, so anyways, it was my curiosity to find out why I'm here that led me to do this. And so I want to tell you that your purpose, your purposes, your way in life simply unfolds itself when you learn to trust yourself and when you learn to trust your divine plan. We all have a divine plan. Now, this is something that maybe depends on what you believe in. I personally know that there's so-called divine plan because I can recall what we've talked about before I was born, before I was incarnated in this life specifically. And yes, there was a plan, because from high above, and I just talked about this too with a friend the other day, is, you know, when you are, before you're born, when you're deciding to actually incarnate as this being in this lifetime, you don't really fully realize as a high vibrational being in a different level, in a different dimension, that what the experience of being human really will be like, and what it will be feeling like, and how real it is. You know, because on that level, it just looks like an awesome adventure, an interesting experience. And you see all the love, you see the beauty, the positive things that you're experiencing in this lifetime. I remember sitting in this white room, and there was a screen. It was a table sort of, but it was a screen, almost like a computer screen, but it was flat. It was round, like a little rounded on right in front of me, like a table. And I was literally observing my life through that mirror, through that screen. And my guide, one of my guides, she was basically just talking to me about the life that I'm having, and we were discussing things, and I was having questions, and we were talking about things. But never ever did I ever think that once I was here, what I would be experiencing and what this would feel like to my body, my soul, my feelings, my thoughts, what it would do to me, And, it's almost like I always have to remember the movie The Last Unicorn, when the last unicorn was turned into a human being, and she suddenly realized that she's no longer immortal, like she's now becoming human, and she now suddenly feels sorrow, and she never felt sorrow before. And it's kind of a similar experience, because you don't ever really truly realize how real this experience is. That there are many difficult parts to this that are going to be very, very hard to master. And another thing that I wanted to say is what I realized in this life is that being human, being on this planet, actually is similar to attending a school for gods. It's like you are in a school and you're learning all these things, and you're managing the energy here, and you're managing life and relationships and natural catastrophes and the things we're experiencing currently in the world. And it's a lot of things to master and to move forward and to move through. And it's not always easy, right? Because as humans, this reality becomes very real to us. And one biggest thing I realized is, the fact that we make mistakes, or that we do things because we lacked understanding or we lacked perception. Sometimes we lack compassion, we lack empathy, and our actions out of this lack of understanding, what it leads to, the feelings of shame and guilt that keep us trapped so low in a reality that feels like we can't even escape it. We can't move out of it anymore. We can't elevate. We can't move beyond it. It's really a learning to surrender to what is and accept the facts and the reality that we're living in, so that we're able to move through it. And instead of running from our feelings, because I used to be a runner, I would always run away from my feelings. They were just way too overwhelming to me. I couldn't accept it. I couldn't acknowledge them. I couldn't sit with it. It was too much. And so learning to really sit with your own feelings, with your own thoughts, and with your own experiences, and allowing to really look at it and attune to it and assess it and acknowledge it and validate yourself. It's been quite a journey for me, and it's very interesting, and I just love to share about it. I love sharing about my realizations and my understandings. And what I found is that as I was simply living and learned to be with myself and tune in with myself and have reassuring conversations with my own true self, with my own true inner self. That is kind of how I was able to take some steps towards my fulfillment as the person I came here to be, right? And it's interesting because sometimes we say that, I remember who I am, and I really do remember who I am. And sometimes I have to even remind myself again of who I am, because sometimes life becomes busy and we forget again. But it is a remembering. Once you access a certain level of awareness, if you're rising through the different dimensions and you start to access greater awareness, you start to remember things that you had forgotten about, because for the lower third dimensional human mind 3D level, you cannot access this information because it's like you're hitting your head against the wall every single time. It's just not on that level where you're able to receive the information. For example, like information about your previous lives, about past lives, right? Or about the life, or about the experience of the information and the things you talked about before you were incarnated in this life. sometimes also lives beyond this life, other lives that you had somewhere else, lives that you had that were not on a physical realm, lives you had on a higher spiritual, I want to say somewhere 12D level, which is just very interesting. I have a lot of those stories still in me. I remembered some of these things, and maybe one day I will be talking about them. They're quite interesting to talk about. A little curious. One of those lives was actually not even in this universe. It was completely somewhere else. And another life I had, I'm going to delve into this a little bit since we're talking about it, was about, I was living on a moon planet. I always call it a moon planet. So it's a planet, it was fairly large, but it was actually a moon around another planet. It was completely covered in water. It just had a couple little spots where, like, little islands. They were very ragged and very tall, raggedy mountains with pine-like looking trees. And I remember that the being that I was flying, but I was also diving into the water. I was both an air creature and an underwater creature. That was a very interesting memory of mine that I received back. And I believe I also, as a child, I was remembering these things. I remembered her being that being. I always had these moments where I would sit with myself in my room and I would start to tune in with myself. I would, close my door, lock my door, make sure nobody comes in. It would never work if somebody was in the room. I was too scared, what people would think of me and whatever. And when I tuned in, I would ask myself questions. I would ask about my future husband. I would ask things like, who are my spirit guides? And what do they look like? What are your names? I would ask all kinds of things. And I would always receive information back. And some of that information I received as a child has actually now concluded in my reality. I received my partner's name, the full name. I received also images that I watched as a child in my inner eye that later on as an adult I would watch on a screen on my iPhone. Okay, and I mean, it's pretty fantastic if you think about this. But again, like when you are at a lower level of consciousness, you're not going to be able to remember ever even having had those experiences, because that's just not how it works. You have to be able to evolve yourself and rise to a much higher level of awareness to be able to remember and access all this information that you had previously been able to receive. So, and when it comes to finding out why we came here, it's basically, you have to ask yourself that. You have to ask yourself, why am I here? What is my purpose? And your intention of wanting to know why you're here and what your purpose is will lead to you finding people. It's the same it's like energy alignment, right? It is your intentional energy to what you want to experience, what you want to move towards, what you want to have to happen in your life. This is your intention is the key to be able to even align to that specific experience that you want. And so the thing is that I don't recommend to always go into your future to look at what you're doing, because it kind of defeats the purpose, because you're supposed to ask these questions in the now moment so that you can take inspired action in the now moment, or pay attention to things that are going to happen, so that you can take right action, or inspired action. And if we're always dabbling in our own future around, we will completely miss taking the action in this moment, right? Because we're constantly are focusing on the future. We're not focusing on the now. And so the future cannot be created if we don't focus on the now. So you have to focus on right now, and what you're doing right now is essential to creating and unfolding the future that you are meant to have, or the life that you're meant to live. So one of the key things that maybe you can take away from this is to make time for yourself, to sit with yourself, take a notebook, sit down, have a pen, and tune in, take a couple deep breaths, and ask yourself, your higher self's always with you. It already knows everything. It has been in your future, it's been in your past, it's always been with you through all time, space, reality, and it knows everything. So you can ask anything you ask. So what is it that is my purpose? Can you show me the way? Or another good thing that you can say is, for example, if you believe that somehow that you can't get there somehow, or that you don't know where you're looking, or that you feel like you don't have the money, or you don't have the time, or you don't have this, all the excuses that we come up, that our ego comes up, that really blocks us from having the experience of moving forward and living our purpose, is the little question of what if I had the time? What if I took the time to do this? What if I would do this despite having no money? What if I would just take the first step towards the very thing that I want to do? What if I would just start taking inspired action? What if I would be able to live in such and such place and find my soul family and do my whatever I want to do, what I'm always inspired to? What if I would just do it? And maybe let go of the things that no longer serve you. If you're hanging around with friends that don't serve you for fulfilling your life purpose, then why are you still hanging around with them? If you're used to drinking every weekend and having fires and smoking and just hanging out, and if that's what you do with your free time, why don't you just stop doing that and start at least taking some time, even if it's just half an hour, to focus on the things that maybe you're passionate about? The thing is, at some point we have to make room for the things that we really want to do. We have to make space for that. And I have to tell myself that too, because in the past, everything has always gotten in the way, like me, because I work in healthcare, so I have all kinds of hours all over the place. I have my kids, they were home on all my days off this past year and a half. And so there was very little time available for me to create anything or do anything that I really wanted to do. And I literally had to make the time to make things happen. So when I wrote in this book, I Know Why, Moving the World, I felt inspired to be a part of this. I had actually already a vision a couple of years ago that I was going to be in a white book that will be the last book produced. That is going to be an important book, and it's a coaching guide, a life guide for people, especially people who are needing help to move forward. So it's a great book. And so anyways, so you have to just listen to yourself, even if you're not having visions. But honestly, I really believe we all have visions. It's just we don't always pay attention to it. We don't pay attention to the thing that is coming in every day, every once in a while, every week. It's popping in our heads, in our minds, and we're just kind of pushing it away because we're busy, got to do the laundry, I got to do the kitchen, the kids want to go bike riding. There's always something, right? But if we're just allowing ourselves every day to take some time to contemplate on the things that have been trying to reach us, so that we can write it down, think about it, take a first step into the right direction, and see where this is going, see how this is unfolding, and to stay persistent, to do these little steps every single day. And even if it's just 10 minutes a day, and start focusing on what it is that I do want to create. And it may not come to you right away. It might take weeks or months until you have a real understanding and clarity on what you want to do. And also the other thing that I wanted to say, just to add on to this, without making it too long, is you have to understand that what did I want to say now? Let me think here. Yeah, so what I wanted to add on was that don't get too focused and too hung up on one thing, because what I found is that my purpose kept developing and evolving. So even when I realized something and I was creating something and I was doing something I really loved and it was great, I found soon after that something else would pop into my awareness, and then I would do that, and then I would constantly evolve myself and move on and move forward and do different things. And sometimes we arrive at something that we really want to delve into really deeply and explore it and make it greater and better and bigger. But sometimes I found, at least for myself, I would constantly outgrow everything I was doing. So I kept telling myself, you know what, it's okay, just let it go, and then let's move on to the next thing and move on to the next thing and then focus on the next thing. And so this is why I mean, it's, you don't just have one purpose. There's not just one purpose here. Your life is full of purposes, right? Your purpose may be having children. Your purpose may be working on your business. Your purpose may be working at a job. Your purpose may be exploring life. Your purpose may be sharing your experiences in a book or on a video. Your purpose might be to experience love. It might be to experience joy, bliss, anger, sadness. It could be anything. There's so many purposes out there. And to just learn to trust ourselves that we will be taking the right steps, and to pay attention to the things that come to us, at perfect divine timing, and look at it and see if we're able to take this on right now. And sometimes when things come in, it's just too much coming in, to just tell yourself that, well, I can't do this right now, but I am gonna make a mental note. I'm gonna write this down in my notebook. I'm gonna work on this one day. I know I'm gonna do it. And so to just, it's really an exploration, finding your purposes and finding out why that you came here is truly an exploration. I also found out that when I was younger, I would have never known why I came here, because I didn't have my full memory intact. I was missing huge chunks of my childhood memory. So even though I wanted to write a book and I was interested in writing a book and I wanted to put things on paper, I didn't know what, because a huge chunk of my experiences weren't there and accessible to me at the time. And so again, we come back to divine timing and to trust yourself that at the right time, your purpose and your reason for being here will unfold, and you will suddenly start to realize, oh, this is why I'm here. Oh, this is my purpose. Oh, this is what I came here for, to experience, And I mean, don't let anybody take this ever away from you, because the miracle of realization, why you are here, is something that shouldn't just be handed to you, that should be explored. It should be realized, it should be understood. And then the other thing is too, there's techniques that you can do, right? I mean, you don't have to wait till 80 years old before you find out why you're here, right? We have the ability to connect with ourselves, meaning that we connect with our heart. Our heart knows very well why we're here. Our heart and our body knows better than our mind does. Our mind is often only focused on the current conscious tasks and things that we have to do. once we shut that down a little bit, and this is why meditation, where meditation comes in, and taking a couple deep breaths, and then asking our soul and our heart about, why am I here? What do I want to experience? And this is something I also learned from Jerry Wiska. He has a really beautiful way on how to do this. But also I myself, when I was just going through separation, I sat with myself many times and I tuned in with myself. I took my heart and said, why am I here? What am I doing? Where am I supposed to go? You know, or I would like to know the truth about my life. I want to know why I feel the way I do. I want to know why I think the way I do. Where is this all coming from? You know, and your heart will reveal the answer. You will suddenly just know, the words will spill out of you. Maybe an image, pictures will come into your mind. You'll have an understanding. Maybe a memory pops back, right? And you don't have to be afraid of that, because, you know, I mean, sometimes we're afraid of having to relive something that we don't remember right now, you know, because now we're accessing memories that have been hidden. And to be honest, you don't have to be afraid of it. You don't have to be afraid of it, right? Because when you are accessing things that you had forgotten about, you're not reliving it, you're just observing it. You're observing this in your mind because it's coming up, because there is a clue in there for you to assess, understand, grasp, and embrace, so that you can understand more about yourself and your life purpose. So just wanted to put that in there in case that is something that you were wondering about. And so I understand the feeling of feeling lost in your life, not knowing where to turn or what to do. Personally, when I was dealing with that, I was connecting with myself, but also I needed some immediate actions. I would just simply focus on the little things, the immediate things, and that would help me move forward. So I would make sure that if I had a job, I would still go to my job, I'd be on time, or that I would take care of my bills and make sure that I'm not like causing more trouble to myself. I would make sure that the things I need to do in the house are done first, so that I have time at the end of the day to do the things I really wanted to do, so I don't have all kinds of other stuff on my mind. So I really like to take care of the things that are important, that are immediate things that need to be taken care of now, at the beginning of my day, so that I have the rest of my day to myself, so that I can work on other things that I enjoy. And even I have to remind myself of doing that. It's so important that we get the things that are difficult to do out of the way. So so I think this is all for now about how to find out why we came here and how to find our purpose. I hope that this video was helping a little bit and was giving you some insight, some understanding. You can reach me through my website, theangelhouse.ca. I have some bookings available for Akashic Records readings. I also still do spiritual mediumship. I've also other offerings on there. If you go on my contact page, you'll be able to find out what I currently do. I am also planning on having a little coaching session with people that are purchasing the book, to go on Zoom calls and read the book together and fill out some of the worksheet in here and contemplate on how to move forward or find your life purpose and figuring out your why you're here and all that. And if you're interested in that, just let me know. And hope you have a beautiful week and enjoy this fall, and don't take things too serious, try to rise higher, see things from a greater perspective. All right, bye-bye.